Hi, good morning. Welcome to this week's Writers Chat. And this is the place where writers gather and we talk about all things writing, about writing, and for writers. So we're really glad you're with us this week. And this week we're going to kind of have an open mic. We got a whole list of some different topics that we're just going to talk about and explore together as writers. And so we're going to do some sharing. So we're going to let everybody kind of stay on if you come on in video, and if you can, just be in the chat. So we'll try to refer to that. And if you're watching by replay, I think you're going to this is going to be a smorgasbord of writing topics. So my name's Jean Wise. I'm one of the co-hosts, and I'm going to turn it over right away to Johnny Alexander, but one of my cohorts in crime here in writing, and let her lead the discussion today. So go ahead, Johnny.
Hey, everybody. We're glad you're here. Those of us who are with us, part of our Writers Chat community every week, and also those of watching the replay. And we do invite you, if you're ever able to get on with us, 10 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern, every Tuesday morning. You'll find us here. So today we're going to talk about, first, a little bit about writers' conferences, because we've had people going to writers' conferences recently. And one of those people is Lisa Kibler. I hope I said that right. And Lisa recently attended the Ohio Christian Writers Conference and won first place in one of the awards. So we're going to let her talk about that, and also just a couple things that she picked up at the conference that would be beneficial for writers. So Lisa, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I tell everyone when I go to the Christian conferences that those who are there, the faculty, the staff, everyone is superb. And it's not like a secular market where everyone keeps everything close to their chest. Mm-hmm. It is the faculty, staff, everyone goes, here, let me tell you everything I know about this craft. Let me help you be a success. Let me help you do, to the best of your ability, what the Lord has given you to do. And that is the overall overreaching theme for every one of these conferences I've attended. This Ohio Christian Writers Conference was no exception to that. It's fun, it's joyful, it's serious. It's like they say, drinking from a fire hose. Even the smaller ones are like that, but they're incredible in the breadth of the experience and knowledge and, yes, love of those who come to teach us and encourage us.
That's great. Tell us about your award that you won. Yay!
I have submitted, I'm working on the memoir of a pastor who I assisted. Yeah, fix my grammar as I'm talking. For 7 years. He's African American. He used to be a Black nationalist. And when we talk about this long process toward publishing, and I know we're going to talk about NaNoWriMo, the second year I've wanted to do it, but I'm still working on the final edits for this book. But it was a portion of that I submitted toward the fiction category for the Ohio Christian Writers Conference. And I walked up when they said the three people, and walked up, and I just started crying. I just stood up and I was crying because Victoria Durstock was announcing it, and I looked down and I was the last one there, and I said, oh, this is going to be wonderful for pictures. But that's not what it's about. It's just having that gives affirmation, certainly, and we want to give all glory to the Lord for this. But the big thing is that it gives more credibility to for the story to publishers. Yeah. We're excited for the story to get out there, but we're still waiting.
It's a waiting game. Publishing is like hurry up and then wait, like.
And we had, of course, Kyle Young was a host, and Cody Moorhead was there, and Bethany, Vicki Durstock, I had not heard Hallie Bridgman speak before.
Oh, yeah.
She was incredible, and her husband Greg was there. I wasn't familiar with Greg, and they have a publishing house now, and he did a wonderful workshop on dialogue. It was titled "He Said, She Said."
Cute.
Men and women, that we speak so differently, and it's so true. Now I'm going back through that, through my manuscript, going, okay, how did I set up these conversations because of that? It was just amazing. Stephen James was there, funny, witty, and yet serious all at the same time about our call as writers and what we're supposed to do, how we can't just sit on it, how we're supposed to do it, and then share.
Oh, nice.
You sound like you were inspired and encouraged and fed both in your heart and your mind, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Did they announce next year's dates? I'm always curious.
Yes, they did. It is,
gotta write them down.
It's a week later. I think it's either the 7th through the 9th or 6th through the 8th. And they had an early bird already.
Oh, wow.
But it's going to be at the same place. It's going to be in Asheville, just south of Columbus. And the Lighthouse Lighthouse Community Church, I forget the rest of, there's 3 C's in there. It's out CCC. They were extraordinary hosts to us.
Can you tell us where exactly that's located?
It's just south of Columbus. It's not far off of 71.
Okay, so not hard to get to that. Well, for those of us in Ohio, that's understandable.
Well, and I think that venue's a little bit on the small side, so registration will probably be limited too. So
it's usually kind of a Friday, Saturday, isn't it? Next November.
Thursday
the 7th.
Friday, and then Saturday till, I think it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock, something.
So it's probably the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Thank you.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
I'm going to check that out for next year already. Yay. All right. Anyone else want to share anything they've learned from attending a writers conference that has just, even if it wasn't recent, that just or an experience you had that really stuck with you? And
sometimes the networking is just phenomenal. You know, I think I don't want to, because I know the speakers are always so good, but sometimes I get as much out of just sitting down across the table talking to another writer and I did sitting in a class taking notes. You know, I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
And
friendship. Go ahead, Rachel.
I went to Greater Philly this summer, and one thing I appreciated this year, this was the second time I was at a conference, was the ability to kind of explore different kinds of writing. Like the first year when I went, I knew I wanted to do devotional writing. So I everything I went to kind of focused on that. And this time I wanted to explore different things. So I was able to go to something on ghost writing, then able to go to a session about children's books. And I really appreciated that, just being able to dip my toe in the different genres to kind of see where my writing might go. So that's one thing I appreciate about conferences.
That's actually a very good idea, to attend things that you might not be sure about.
Or you could bring the techniques or styles. I bet. Just because, for example, Johnny and I talk about this in the past, I don't write fiction, but there are elements of fiction that can make my nonfiction so much better. So to sit through a fiction class would improve my writing. I know it would.
Yeah. I like that idea. That's a great tip. I like that. Yeah.
I would issue the challenge to everybody. I don't know about you guys, that you saw me digging out my calendar. I've got 2019 already. And my goal is to get to at least one, or I didn't get to a major writer conference. I got to a couple little ones this year and I missed it. And now my goal is next year to try to get that on the agenda. That's one reason I asked the dates, Lisa. And I, will do my best to plan at least one, but you've got to be proactive.
Yeah.
And get those on because of family or church commitments or.
And start saving the money, budgeting for it, because we know it's an expense and it can be a difficult expense, so you need to be thinking ahead, and transportation and all those kinds of issues too. So, Jeannie, that's actually a good idea. Is anyone planning? I mean, who's planning their 2019 conference schedule? Who else already has one down? Rachel?
Well, I was just going to say I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone suggests, because I've only gone to Greater Philly, and I've gone to that twice, so I'm looking for a new one to go to.
And what area of the country do you live in? I assume over that way.
Yeah, I live very close to Philadelphia, so about an hour away.
Ohio might not be too far for you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I've never been to Greater Philly because I've never gone that far east, so that's that's interesting. That's good. Who else wants to talk about a conference?
I'm trying to find the link for one. I'm going to try to attend. I haven't found it yet, so give me a few minutes.
Okay.
Keep talking.
I'm looking at Tina because I know she's probably got something she can share.
I went to 4 this year, which is crazy. That was a lot. And I'll be at Florida. So I'm going to be on faculty at Florida. So I'm looking forward to that. We have Liz Curtis Higgs this year.
Yeah.
So that is super exciting. I'm like so that'll be a good one. And then there's a North Georgia one that's new that just started this year. So that's a great one for those who live in the Southeast. But I think there's a St. David's Writers Conference. It's a smaller conference. It's like a retreat feel. And that's up in your area, Rachel. It's kind of in the Northeast. I would look into that. Okay. Susan Lauer does that one, and she's in my online Word Weavers group. So
okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
St. David's, that's good. And I love how you talk about the more of a retreat feel. And there's also the Autumn in the Mountains in October up in the Blue Ridge area, which is just it's small. You have a lot of time set aside for writing, and I've gone to that a couple of times and just love that. There aren't really editors and agents to it all, so it has a whole different atmosphere to it. And Florida's so nice because it's not a small conference, but by any means, but there again, it's more jeans and sandals than suits and heels, because of the terrain and because of where it is, and so it's kind of laid back, and that can be really nice, especially if it's a first conference. You're not, it's more casual than some of them.
Yeah. I put down the one that I was going to, the Writing for Your Life. I couldn't remember what the last word was on that. It's Brian Allen, and he's done some really unique spiritual writers that I don't hear at any of these other conferences. On that, Ruth Haley Barton's been there. I'm pulling a blank. It'll come to me because I got her book here on my desk here someplace. It'll come. But anyway, and I love listening to how other spiritual writers are processed and stuff like that. He's met more Midwest too. So I know he's got one in New Jersey. I know he's met in Chicago. He meets all over. So anyway, I put the link in the chat. So it's Writing for Your Life if you're listening on the replay. Barbara Brown Taylor. That's the name of the lady. I really like her writing. She's wonderful use of metaphors. Beautiful, deep spiritual writer. That's the one. I'm going to try that. Go to her, see her in March.
Well, Lisa's got she's got a list. I mean, good for you. That is like, wow. Yeah.
I feel it's something I do now.
It's the time, right?
It's so important for our writing life, I feel, for all of the reasons we've talked.
Yeah, and I think there are seasons to that, because there have been seasons where it's like I've gone to a lot, and then there are seasons where, not so many. And so it is just sort of, you have, just depending on where you are in your career and what's going on. And of course, finances always, like it or not, finances do play a part in it.
Right.
And that's okay. That's, how it goes. But even if you're not able to do a lot, because I know we've got people here, young moms, and you cannot just pick up and leave your family 4 times a year. But so I want to encourage you, fine, do what you can, that season will come, where you'll be able to be more involved with conferences if you want. But do try to do something, at least every other year if you can. More often is better, but whatever you can do will be a benefit.
There's some discussion in the chat about St. Augustine's Writers Retreat.
Is that the Algonquin Writers Conference that they're talking about?
I don't know.
I don't know what that is either. Who's talking about it?
I got to go back up.
Okay, whoever talked about it, tell us.
I don't think it's a Christian Writers Conference, but it's advertised on Facebook all the time.
Okay, Leslie talked about the Writers Retreat in Augustine, but she asked if anybody had been to that one. She probably heard about it, but yeah. On that. Oh, and Leslie said she thought that was the name of it. Yeah.
Okay.
There's several in Michigan too that we haven't mentioned. There's Festival of Faith up there, which is like every other year, and I think next year is not. It's multi-day, multi-genre, and it's huge. They bring in concerts. So one of these years, I got to get to that.
I'd like to go to that one too. I know Matthew Bruff, who's on here sometime.
Oh yeah,
he's gone to that and gotten a number of contacts for his podcast there. So
oh great, that's great.
It's a little bit different from some of the other ones. A lot of us have been to the Ohio or to the Florida one or Blue Ridge. A little bit different flavor. Each of them have different flavors. It's kind of, I think it expands us as writers to go to a different one.
And there's Right to Publish, which is up north.
Yes. Chicago. Wheaton. I've been to that one. That's an excellent one.
And then out near Melissa is the Oregon Christian Writers Conference, and Mount Hermon is out that way.
Oh, I'd love to go to Mount Hermon. I hear it's beautiful there.
It's supposed to be like the best of the best, right? You hear that. It's like, yeah, that would be cool.
That would be really great. It's a long way to go on a plane for me, though.
Yeah. Melissa said it's her dream conference.
They say it's huge.
Yeah.
I think I'd get your running shoes on.
Although I have heard that Blue Ridge has surpassed it in attendance recently.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure if that's that's what I heard. I don't remember who told me that, but
Right.
Blue Ridge has grown.
Annette asked about the Christian Children's Conference. Apparently Michelle must have talked about that a couple weeks ago or something. I don't recall.
I didn't know such a thing.
Okay.
The what one, Jeannie? I was reading.
Something about Serious Writers going to do a children's writers?
I think they do have that in the works, but I don't know any details on that. So
keep the ear to the ground.
So okay, I am going back to someone I was reading who said, "Oh, you know what? Yes, there's a comment in the chat. The idea of a writers' conference terrifies me. I want to go, consider different ones, but I'm terrified." And I will just say, I understand that feeling. Yes, it's so scary. But what I would suggest is start out with Blue Ridge is great. It would not be my first choice because if I'd never gone to one before, because it is so big and kind of overwhelming. But the Serious Writer ones are smaller and they're good. Florida's a good one for first timers, I think, because of that casual atmosphere. You can kind of get your feet wet. But you just pray. You pray all the way over there for people to eat lunch with. That's what I did. And I met Jeannie. And look at us now. That was 11 years ago. So, and Lisa and I were on a website critique yesterday with Rhonda Dragomir and with Jeannie Waters. Tell us about your and Jeannie's friendship. It's great.
We were online for one of the meals, and the lines just go on. They sneak around forever, it seems, going into lunch or supper. And I was standing next to Jeannie and her cousin Evelyn, Venable Wells. And we struck up a conversation and just got glued together right away. And I don't think there's a day goes by that Jeannie I don't text. We talk every week. We proof each other's work. We edit. It's just been a wonderful relationship, all from standing online, going to a meal. So
your next best friend may be going to the same writers' conference you are.
In my only word of caution, if you're terrified, is Lisa said the right phrase at the beginning. It's like drinking from a fire hose, and I've heard that before, and that is true. Expect to be a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's very difficult if you're an introvert. I get worn out sometimes at these things, and I have to withdraw for a little bit, and I expect it, and I just plow through it. I've just learned, because this is part of the business. If we want to write for the Lord, this is probably one of the best ways to become better writers, so we do a better job for serving the kingdom. Is kind of my opinion. Les, thank you for finding that link for the.
A lot of the conferences have places for you to withdraw and pray and relax. Like at Florida, you can go out to the dock and just kind of look at the lake for a while, or go for a walk. And Blue Ridge has a prayer garden. So keep in mind, there are places that you can go other than your room, where you can relax and pray. And if you're an introvert, it's not going to kill you.
That's right.
I think too, like just being part of this community, pick a conference that you know someone else is going to, and then you're going to know somebody. I mean, so you already have a friend.
And this group likes to meet up. I love it when they get them all together for a picture. Here's a writing chat group, and we put it on there, and I just love
that. Was great how many Writers Chat people were at the Ohio conference. I was amazed.
That was just wonderful. So we didn't do that. Okay. Well, do you want to go on to Nano? You want to talk about?
Yeah, let's talk about NaNoWriMo for a little bit. So who here is participating in Nano now or in the past?
Does everybody know what Nano is, Johnny?
Oh, well, I should say, for those who don't, NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month. Gosh, it started way back in, I think, the late 1990s originally, maybe early 2000s. And the original idea was to write 50,000 unedited words in 30 days in the month of November. And the key being unedited, so that you weren't allowed to go back and, change things. You just needed to keep on going with your story. Shut that editor aside and be, creative. So I first did it in 2003, and again in 2005, and a few years after that too. I've done it about 5 or 6 times, I think. And really, from that 2003 time, realized, oh wow, I love writing fiction, which I just didn't think I could before. And I mean, that is not anything anyone's ever going to see that story. I mean, it's a total mess. But it was fun to see the sparks of times when the dialogue just really sang, and the characters, did things. And that's when I knew that, this is what I really, really want to do. It took me several more years to get to that point, of course. But anyway, it's grown a lot since then. They do Camp Nanos now in April and some other month too. I think they are in schools. They've got meetups that they do during the month of November. I mean, it is just grown tremendously. And they also have the NaNoWriMo Rebels, who are those who write nonfiction. And now people go in there and they will have maybe a start or an outline or something. And, it's, but the basic idea is still the same. You write 50,000 words and you don't edit them, So I think it's a wonderful, I'm not doing it this year because of other commitments, but I think it's a wonderful, wonderful way to meet people, to get excited about your writing and just do it. And it's hard to do it in November, but I will tell you, one year when I was determined, because the prior year I had lost it by not completing it. So the next time I tried it was like there was no way I wasn't going to do that. And I wrote 30,000 words in 3 days. I mean, so it killed me, but I did do it because I was determined. I was not going to lose NaNoWriMo again. So anyway, there you go. So who's doing it or has done it in the past and would like to talk about it? Sophia, come on in. Unmute yourself, girlie.
Hoping the dogs don't sound like
yeah, the dogs are fine. They'll be okay.
Actually, NaNoWriMo is how I started writing. I mean, I wrote a little bit, but we had moved from where we'd lived for 20 years. I had 5 children at the time, and we moved in October. And I had gone to my first Bible study the previous season, because I had 5 kids in 1 decade. I always had somebody, always had a nursing baby, always had toddlers. My kids did not nursery well.
Wow.
So I was not able to participate in many life-giving church activities because nursing babies were usually not welcome, and neither were toddlers. And my friend did a Beth Moore study, and I did that, and it was wonderful. It was just so beautiful to dive into the Word and to fellowship with other women while I was doing it. So that's when I got my first story thought. And that November, even though we had just moved, even though my youngest was 8 and my oldest was in his senior year, and I was homeschooling them, I did NaNoWriMo that year, and I got the first gem of this idea of this work in progress that I'm working on now. It's just a different section of it. I've never finished Nano. I've always worked hard. I've always made it a priority, but maybe I show too much grace, but I know that I can't have an expectation that if I fail, it'll crush me, or that I'll consider myself a failure. I've always put my kids' needs at a higher priority than my own, because that's what moms do.
That's what moms do.
But these last 2 years, I've actually been focusing on my writing. My husband has supported me, and he has sent me to several writing conferences, and all my kids are out of the nest now. And I'm still not trying to do all of Ramo, right? I mean, all of Nano. But it motivates me. And there's encouragement, there's buddies, and there's a stimulant. What's a better word? A catalyst, kind of, for me to set aside time. So I love Nano.
Oh, I'm glad. I love that you set up your own expectations too.
Leslie's commented in the chat, which I think is really interesting, is that the camp nanos in April and July every year, and she likes the camps better because you don't have to do the 50,000 words. You can set your own goals and have a cabin with other writers. It's a great way to meet others in your own genre and create good writing habits. Nano has changed, and I didn't realize this, is you don't have to set only a word count. You can have hours that you write now too. Isn't that interesting? I didn't know that, Leslie.
I didn't know that either.
That is great. I think that would appeal more to some other people too. And they're for all genres too.
Yeah. I mean, I think it really has changed a lot over the years as it's grown and become bigger and bigger and bigger. But the good thing about it, excuse me, it gets you writing, and that's, it just gets you writing, and shut down the editor and write. And I think that's the biggest plus.
Yeah. And you create things you had no idea you were going to create, so I've done it as nonfiction. That's part of the Rebel.
He was a rebel.
Yeah, but we got other rebels in this group. I saw them in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that too. A lot of nonfiction.
Yeah. But I did nonfiction, and I mean, look at these camps. So do you just Google camp nanos, guys?
I think it's on the site, and it's NaNoWriMo.org.
Okay.
Leslie was so gracious. She got me in her cabin, I guess last July. And then I didn't do anything because so many other things were happening. So I was in the cabin, but I was like I don't know, fly on the wall, I guess. But would be good. I should have planned it better.
Well, she wrote that there are time word sprints, and that always works well with me. I like trying to play with the clock. I'm going to see how much I can write in this 50 minutes or something. And it has it and it is on their main page, she says. I'm going to check that out. I think I will check that out. That'd be fun.
Well, maybe we could try to do that. I mean, we've got a few months. We could just try to really do that as a group in April, maybe. Maybe that'd be easier than November. Yeah.
A writer's chat cabin?
A writer's chat cabin, yes. Yeah.
That would be fun.
Write that down.
Write that down. That'd be fun.
All right. Anyone else want to talk about NaNoWriMo?
I know I definitely would be excited to try the Camp Nano. Writers Chat. in on that. That was one of my drawbacks for November. I did Nano the very first time in 2016 and actually dished out most of my second novel in it. So I was able to commit to 2,000 words. But it was a real time crunch, and it was a busy month, so I almost didn't make it, and I kind of felt stressed about that. And I thought if it was another time of the year, it would work better for me. So I love that they actually do Camp Nanos now.
That's great.
And then you can set your own goals. So if you already have a work in progress, you can keep working on it, and you can edit as you go, which is, that's the hard thing for me too, is not editing. Yes. That's why I just needed to, okay. Yeah.
Actually, it's you guys' fault. I shifted gears last week. Because
okay.
the whole thing about having to send proposals in by November or forget it until January.
Oh, yeah.
So I was working on book 2, and I decided I'm going to give the first 3 chapters one more polish. And I had submitted my manuscript to somebody to review, and they did a substantive edit. And so I'm working on addressing what was the comments throughout that, but I'm thinking I'm going to try to send something in this week, and I'm terrified.
We'll pray for you.
Thank you.
Of course you're terrified. I'd be worried about you if you weren't. I mean, it's scary. It's scary.
We become vulnerable in our writing.
We do.
Our babies we're sending out to the world,
But good for you to get that edit and to make it the very best you can be, because that's another thing about NaNoWriMo. Agents and publishers do not want to see your NaNoWriMo draft. And some people think their NaNoWriMo draft is really good, and they send it out, and they get inundated with all this stuff. No. You have to take that piece, and you have to rework it and revise it and edit. And yeah, I mean, 2 of my books have come out of NaNoWriMo drafts. So, I mean, it was a long time and a long process. It wasn't, they're not real similar.
I have 4 stories that I've started during Nano. One that I finished, and I'm still working on it.
But it's more than you had if you wouldn't have done NaNoWriMo, right? I mean,
yes,
yes, more than you would have had otherwise. Yeah. Okay, I'm kind of missing the chat stuff, but okay, we can have up to 20 in a cabin, so we'll see how we do. We may have to have more than 1 cabin. If we do, we will. Leslie, you need to be the one to sort of keep us on track with this, because you've got experience. So I just am now assigning you the role. And making sure we get our cabin set up. And I know she's in a cabin with some pretty cool people already. That was really nice. But yeah, Leslie, please help us get our cabin set up too. All right. Okay, so we also were thinking that we would talk about, it's Thanksgiving's coming up, and of course we're not meeting next week because of that. We want you to be spending, probably on Tuesday you're either going to be traveling, trying to get stuff finished up so you can either travel or, have people in, or just trying to get everything ready for Thanksgiving. So we won't be meeting next week, but we just want to talk about, as you go back over the years, some of the things that you've been really thankful for in your writing journey. Or if you want to share a Thanksgiving tradition or memory, that was the other, thing.
I have a Thanksgiving devotional that's free this week on Kindle.
Okay.
Mention.
Oh, great.
I wrote it last year when I was starting my, just starting my platform, just getting more comfortable with writing. But it's called "Let's Eat: Giving Thanks with Jesus at Meal Times."
Oh.
And it's just a 5-day devotional. And for each of those 5 days, at breakfast and lunch, I just have 1 verse about giving thanks and then a couple questions to help you ponder the verse. But then for dinner time, each of those days, I have an instance where Jesus prayed during a mealtime.
Oh my gosh, well, put that in the chat. Put the link in the chat, please.
I will. So that to me is like, last year I kind of used that to help me center my own heart on Thanksgiving. So this week I'm using free on Kindle so that, I'm hoping more people can use it to center their heart on Thanksgiving as well.
I love the title, "Let's Eat."
Yes.
Rachel. Thank you. Thanks for doing that.
Sure.
Follow up on that. I'm always thankful for, I don't know, I grew up in a house with, my Thanksgiving was my mom's favorite holiday, I think. She just really went all out on that day. And there's something about the memories. I think we can continue to create memories as we go through. And that's just that remembering back and stuff. I've just been pondering that a lot the last couple of weeks. So that just brings warm feeling, comfort food.
Yes. Yeah.
And then that's why I like Thanksgiving.
My favorite part of Thanksgiving is the whole family comes together.
Yeah.
And we just have a great time.
Yeah. You guys have any family traditions after the big meal of what you do? Certain games or certain
games?
Football?
Play games.
Do you play board games or
board
card
games? Yeah, card games. Yeah.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah.
We have a tradition where there's about 30 of us in our family that get together for Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
And my mother's contribution is she's the bingo caller. So we play bingo because everybody can play no matter what your age is.
Sure.
And all year long, she goes to the grocery store and picks up little things from the bargain bin at the grocery store that are 25 cents.
That's a great idea.
And she wraps them as a present. And then if you win bingo, she hands out the present. And so it's a lot of fun. That's our tradition.
That's great.
Wow. That's a fun idea too.
It is. It is.
Yeah. I always like putting the kids on the spot, grandkids on the spot, making them say something they're thankful for, but it gets kind of repetitive. You know.
We used to do that too. Like everyone had to go around and say that thing.
And that is great.
Sometimes at Thanksgiving, because we talk about being thankful for family, we'll also go around the table and say why we love each other. I love you because. And we always make the kids go first, and then my husband and I go last. And of course, when they were younger, it was the, ooh, gross. Because, we would just say things like, you're fun to be with, or you're fun to play games with, and, things like that. So they just, especially teenagers, gross. Because I have 4 boys and 2 girls, so it gets kind of entertaining. But it's neat because it's also serious, and we don't hear it enough, especially from family, why they're special and why we love them. And it's a fun thing that we do often. We don't do it every year, but it's a fun thing to do.
I love it. I love that idea.
Like that. You're making me think. I have here in my church drawer some of those conversation starters cards. Have you ever seen those? And it's a lot of it'd be like one would be, I love you because blank, 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 so they're different conversations. Like, so what is one thing you're thankful for in the last year? I'm going to pull those out and maybe pick some
great idea.
Ones, out for the year, or put them around the table or something,
Make it your centerpiece.
Fan them out like a turkey.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anybody else have something they want to share?
Thanksgiving is always fun for us because my first son was born on Thanksgiving break. And, we usually have a birthday around there, and he always wants pie for his birthday cake.
My son was born then too.
Mine was born the 24th.
Me too.
So you know how often. He likes pie.
Were they actually born on Thanksgiving?
It was like midnight the night before kind of thing.
Wow.
My daughter Katie actually 8 a.m. Thanksgiving Day. I didn't have to cook that day.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Call her our little turkey.
Yep.
There you go.
I got 2 decks of these. Oh, you guys really got me started here. Who did that?
Okay, now I
Norma
know.
gave me that idea. Look at these. Look at these. Here, I got my 2 sets of deck of cards out. I'm gonna
Oh my
You're
God.
welcome.
gratitude ones, good ones in here. Oh, these are all Christian. Oh, this will be good. I haven't looked at these for a while. You can tell.
We have one more thing that we do too. We have this, it's a Thanksgiving journal. It's just from the dollar store, but it's just a blank journal. And then every year the kids write down what they're thankful for.
Oh, I like that.
And then we raised our hand as we started. And so of course when they're babies or toddlers, we just observe from their life over the past year what they like. So, but now that they're older, they can do it themselves. So there's some more.
Oh, I like
Oh,
that.
that's
I'm gonna
cute.
do that. I'm taking
So,
that idea.
I am too. Rachel, you've been a bundle of information.
oh, good. And it's fun. I pack it away with our fall decorations so that when we come out again, their kids are all excited. Oh, let's look at it again and see what we do.
That's great.
So, and then my husband and I do it too. You know, it's just not just for the kids,
Of
but
course.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. Love that.
What are you guys
Rachel?
thankful? What are you thankful for this year?
Wow, did we get quiet?
I know.
For my family. I have a great family and a very supporting husband that let me run off to 2 conferences and watch 2 autistic teenagers while I was gone. And God's just been good this year and has just blessed beyond measure. Both times I went to the conferences, it just blew my mind, and getting to be a part of Writers Chat and getting to know all of you, and y'all are such encouragers that it's just made my year more complete. When I get discouraged and feel like I don't want to do this anymore, I come to Writers Chat and I'm like, okay, let's get going. So that's what I'm thankful for.
Me too. I'm thankful for the body of writers that I've been introduced to. It encourages me when I have imposter syndrome or failure thoughts. As a very encouraging.
Tina mentioned in the chat, I see she's back on here, 1,000 Gifts by Ann Voskamp.
And Voskamp, yeah. And it's kind of a great read. I may look back at it again, even though I've already read it. It's just for people who are in a place where everything isn't perfect at Thanksgiving time. I'm not going to have my kids visiting. We're not going to have a big Thanksgiving meal. We're going to be in this weird place where we probably won't even be sitting at our table because it's all set for showings, and we don't know where we're going to be, and it's a kind of weird place. But then it gets you to kind of distill everything down to what is really what you're thankful for. Like, what are the meaningful things? It's not the food. It's not the big party. There's more than that, and it kind of gets you to like really think deeper. So I love that book for that reason, because it makes you kind of really think about the depth of what it is we really can be thankful for. And there's more than we would normally see if we're just looking at the surface, Norman Rockwell picture kinds of things. So
Such a poetic writer too. She writes differently. I mean, you'll reread some of her paragraphs 6 times. You gotta just savor how she writes. It is beautiful on that way. Leslie said that family is the same since her parents and in-laws are not here anymore, so they're planning to go out, so I won't be home to think. I think it is difficult. We gotta face holidays to be really emotional landmines sometimes on that, with changes and family changes and people who aren't there anymore, you know.
Oh, that really is.
It's a way to honor.
I remember that, we'd always have these kind of big Thanksgivings with, even boyfriends and fiancés and all that kind of thing. And then there came the year when Bethany, it was her first, after she got married, she had to go to the in-laws. So we didn't have her. Jill was at college where, believe it or not, they did not permit you to go home on Thanksgiving. And my friend Carol Ann, who always came with her boys had to go with their dad that year. So it was like 3 adults and my son and just the 4 of us, and how, oh my gosh, we were all just a wreck. But so you have those kinds of Thanksgivings too, and yet like Tina said, we still had good food that day. We still had we could still be together. We got phone calls from those who weren't with us, and and memories of our other Thanksgivings that had just been a little bit more loud.
Yeah. And there's I think we have to acknowledge some grief and loss, especially even if a tradition dies, what is a tradition? Something you do more than once. So you do it 2 years and then you don't do it the third year. You think, why do I feel like I've lost something, So
it's more than a tradition. I mean, to be thankful and be thankful in your heart is more than a tradition. And I think what I'm going to blog about today and do my video about is think about the original meaning of Thanksgiving. These were people who came out of time of great grief and loss. They had lost many family members. Most of their community had died. And it was really tough. So they were thankful in the midst of the worst of times. And that's kind of where the whole Thanksgiving thing started, not in the let's make sure your table looks well decorated like we have today. It's not really wasn't about that to begin with. So I think it's important to remember those who are sad and try to reach out to them. Like, I know I have a friend who lost a son this year. And so those kinds of things are hard. So we can really try to make an effort to remember people who are dealing with loss right now.
I think that's a great perspective, Tina.
Yes.
On that. And even as family dynamics change, we have this year, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law moved up from Florida. So that changed our local dynamics. And I would tell you, I was a little bit nervous about it at first, and it has been wonderful. It has been a blessing. The new has been blessing. So we had to let go of the old and adopt the new, and that has worked. It's just hard to do because you just don't know. We've had some really good sharing in the chat that I just acknowledged that some people it is a difficult time. And Tina, I think the words that you said were just perfect.
Absolutely.
How Thanksgiving used to be and stuff. And it's some sadness going on within our group, and we need to pray for one another.
Yes, definitely.
And that way we've got the support of each other.
I'm going to go back into Lisa's, just to change the tone a little bit, where she said, I'm so thankful God led me to my tribe, weird, wonderful writers. Yes, we are weird, LOL. It's like,
yes. It's great. We're a bunch of introverts who like to be social, but then let me back off a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe that's why we like Zoom. There's enough boundary. We're almost perfect. If you notice on the video,
the 9,
9 blocks, and we got a couple others in the chat, but yet we've got Brady Bunch.
Yeah, we got a Brady Bunch thing going on here. Oh my gosh, yes. You all are so great.
And they were dysfunctional too. Let's just.
Yes, they were.
They were a little weird.
Look at Tina's face.
So let's pray for one another over Thanksgiving. I think that would be.
And thank you for sharing. Thank you for feeling safe enough to share in the chat, and do know that definitely prayers.
And as writers, as we experience these roller coaster emotions, we could almost be objective and make note of them, because that's what our characters or a story could come out as an illustration or for a devotional or an inspirational out of this. So sometimes we were laughing about the boundaries, but sometimes if we put on our writer's glasses, that would help us get through these landmines a little bit better.
Well, in getting to know your characters, the book we did just a couple weeks ago with Melissa, and I did that, by the book by Brandon Collins. She talks in there about actors needing to separate themselves into two, and writers needing to do the same thing. So with actors, it's the character you're playing, but you also have to be here understanding why you're making the choices that you're making, even as you are so involved in being that character. And the same with writers. We can be very emotionally involved in whatever's going on, but a part of us kind of needs to be out here, like Jeannie said, being objective and kind of noting, how is what I'm feeling right now affecting my body? What's going on inside of me? What's my stomach feel like? What do my muscles feel like? And then trying, even if you can, to record those so that you have that to use later. Like Melissa's got her own little emotional thesaurus going on that she keeps track of, and you can keep track of those that she's written out herself. You can keep track of those things for when you need them.
So, but think of the stories Rachel's got in that journal.
I know.
Yeah, that is a gem of an idea. What a little 6-year-old may observe and write down sometimes is a transformational message.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is great on that. Do you have anything else, Johnny, on your list today? I can't remember what else.
Those were the 3 main topics we were going to talk about. So, yeah.
Okay, and next week, we should say this again, there's no writer's chat, so everybody can be thankful for no writer's chat.
I'll be on the road, so you can be praying for us as we travel. Nathaniel, my 2 dogs, and I are going to Northeast Missouri. So,
Oh, wow.
Thanksgiving, yeah, Friday.
How long of a drive is that?
About 7.5, 8 hours.
Wow, it's a long drive. Okay, you're on the road, and then the following week.
I did not look. If you keep everybody.
Melissa, what do you have?
Sherry Lynn Bisbano is going to be on to talk about obtaining endorsements for your book proposal.
Great.
We need to pray for Sherilyn. She's still having a rough time recovering from her concussion.
Okay.
So I just texted her today. So
Had a long recovery from that, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Yes, it's too long.
Yeah. Well, she had a little bit of setback from going to a concert with her son, so that kind of set her back a little bit. But
Noise and the lights.
pray for her because it's
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So you could also things we could be praying for, because since we're not meeting, we could be praying for each other.
You know what? We do that. Let's wait till we get off the recording. Okay. We are recording this. As soon as we get off the recording, hang around and yes. I always love it when Tina's here and can pray for us. So
I know it.
Yeah. So we'll do that. Okay, so endorsements, that'll be really good. We'll be glad to have Sherilyn here with us. Again, if you're watching on the replay, we invite you to join us whenever you can, live, when we do this live Tuesdays, 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central. Also, we invite you to like our Facebook page. It's just Writers Chat. Just do a search for that. And also to join the Writers Chat group, where a lot of things go on. And those of you who are here, thank you so much for your comments and participation in the conversation. And it was just fun. Good ideas, right? We got some great things to think about. And
ideas. Great. Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Bye now.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yep.